Hey everybody. Well, we're past the Thanksgiving weekend and I had an opportunity to catch up on some reading finally, which is increasingly difficult for me based on my schedule of, working 40 to 50 hours a week, thankfully not 60 very often anymore, and then drawing comics on top of that and being a dad. And now I'm in the process of moving and gonna have to set all this stuff back up, which is I'm not looking forward to, but again, hopefully it's the last time. And there was a movie that came out on Netflix this last week called Train Dreams, which I was gonna watch. I really like that actor, Joel Edgerton. And it seemed right up my alley, and I didn't get to it, but what I did do is I purchased the novella that the story is based off of, and perfect for me. It was like 116 pages. I read it in about an hour and a half or so, hour 20, and I did it while my son was asleep for his afternoon nap. It was perfect, and it was a fantastic little read. Very dense, a lot happens in it, and it was very judicious in what it used. Minimalist, a little bit more muscular than I'm used to with minimalism. I mean, obviously like Hemingway or Bukowski are the obvious examples of that. I'm a big fan of Amy Hempel. I think she's an amazing minimalist. But it was a great little read, and I highly recommend it. I don't know if I would do that before or after you see the movie. I don't think it matters. But it was good. It reminded me a lot of my grandfather. I don't know why. He would have been much younger than the character depicted in the book, but just talking to him about his childhood, it seemed very like he was a part of that world, a slice of the main character's life. I think the main character dies in 1968, and my grandfather was born in 1926. So it was interesting to kind of, to think about him in that context and remember some of the stories that he told me about growing up in the Depression and just how life was different. One of the things they say about the main character is that he never made a phone call, which that's wild to think about. But yeah, there probably were people that died well past telephones being available everywhere that maybe never made a phone call. So really for me though, it was having the time, first of all, to read versus having a book. Like just the act of reading. It was just, excuse me, with the philosophy that you should always read the book before you see the movie. That really wasn't it. It was more just like, I enjoy reading and I wanted to read this nice little novella. And I'm guilty about the stacks and stacks of books that I have that I just cannot get to. I love reading. And so this was great to finally get an opportunity to read a little bit. And obviously I like compressed stories, if that makes sense. And I've done it with my last two graphic novels, or actually have been graphic novellas. I got inspired, when I was really starting to get into comics was around the time when Bottomless Belly Button and Blankets were coming out, these massive like 500 to 600 page volumes, phone books practically, by independent cartoonists. And around that time, Art Spiegelman, who created Mouse, he was interviewed and was asked about his own work, and it said something that kind of stuck with me. It's like, sometimes when I think of a story idea and it seems promising, I always think it's going to be 250 pages, but in actuality, it probably should only be 48 pages. And so that always stuck with me, and I wanted to explore doing graphic novellas coming out of grad school. When I was at CCS, I would do kind of proof of concept mini comics around 16 pagers, and then from there I would maybe expand it out to 48 if it was well received or I had a publisher interested in it. I would say, okay, let me expand this out. So my first one was my thesis, The Crippler's Son, which is a family drama that involves pro wrestling. And then the second one I did was The Walk, which is about an astronaut left at a space station from a failing space program that they are now shutting down, and what he does about that. And that one's more about toxic masculinity. It was really hard for me to get through. For being only 48 pages, it took me 10 years actually to finish it. But there's something to that, being able to, I don't know, short work isn't easier, it's riskier. And I find that challenging. I think it's fun to challenge yourself as an artist to try to say more with little. And, you know, subtraction as confidence, essentially, you know, just putting, you know, telling the story or telling a scene in 1 page versus 5 pages. It was a challenge for me, which I enjoyed, and I was really brought back to why I love the novella format so much by reading Train Dreams. So I highly recommend, if you have any interest in doing like a graphic novella or even a novella, pick up, you know, my work or Dennis Johnson's work. But yeah, for graphic novellas, the only problem is they don't sell. So that's the thing. It has to be exceptional for it to do well. But I think what you could do to work around that, I've thought about doing it, is doing short little novellas that you could then collect into 1 volume that are thematically all the same. That would probably sell well. So something to think about if you're a cartoonist and, you know, the idea of a graphic novel seems daunting, and it should. You should be starting with mini comics. You should be doing 16 pages, 8 pagers to start. I did not do that out of the gate. I did a graphic novel. I feel like that stunted my growth as a cartoonist greatly. I highly recommend doing smaller work. And if you're kind of in that in-between spot, give a little 48 pager a try, or a 64 pager. That's still cheap enough. If you wanted to print it, you could do it saddle stitch. You wouldn't have to do perfect binding. So that would be pretty affordable, honestly. It would be a very cheap Kickstarter run. It's just a big floppy comic versus a skinny trade paperback graphic novel type format, but it would be a lot cheaper, and you could even print it yourself if you wanted, very easily. So just something to think about. I think about the novella, graphic novella, or just the novella format all the time. I think it's a beautiful format, and for those of us that don't have a lot of time, perfect to consume. So anyways, that's just my food for thought. I'm packing the studio up, so I don't know how many videos I'm gonna have between now and then, but I wanted to get something out because Train Dreams affected me so much, and it has me thinking more about doing smaller work again. It looks like See You in Hell is going to be about 200-ish pages, maybe 220 or so. That's big. I mean, that's the biggest thing I've honestly ever done in my life. So now that I just finished writing issue 7, and it's going, issue 7 is starting this week. I have to do that right after I'm done with this video. I'm doing the next page. I'm doing page 1 of issue 7, chapter 7, issue 7. whatever you want to call it. And after that, it's just issue 8. That's the last issue. So the finish line's in sight. So that is 48 pages, just the size of a graphic novella. So, and I do 2 pages a week. So this will be done here relatively quickly. So that's just something to keep in mind. I might try another graphic novella on my Patreon. So if you're interested, check it out. And it's free to become a member on my Patreon, but also I'm going to be running a special. If you are a member, even for free, you can sign up for the highest level, the Process Junkies level, for 2 months free. So if you're interested in that, if you want to see, I do vlogging there too. That's pretty much exclusive to that platform, and then there's behind the scenes videos, commentary, and then bonus comics also. If you want to try it for 2 free months, please do it. Try it, and if you don't like it, just downgrade. Doesn't matter to me, especially in these uncertain economic times. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't mean to do a hard sell or anything, but it's just something that I wanted to call to people's attention. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much. Talk soon. Bye.